Hello and welcome back. If you have not yet seen my previous video tutorial on how to start your fruity drink business, then make sure you check it out. In that video, I showed you 4 different ways of making fruit drinks. Today, I am going to show you the costing and how you should price each of those drinks if you are going to start this business. Stick around until the end of this video clip, but before we continue, as usual, click that subscribe button. Okay, so 4 different ways. One is using water as base. The other is using lemonade as base. In that video, I showed you how to make a lemonade using fresh lime. And also, we are going to use green tea as base. So it's green tea here. And also soda water. So let's break down all the ingredients for each of those drinks that I showed you. And then we are going to find out how much each of the cup costs. For fruity drinks business, it is so popular these days, I would suggest that you only use large cups. So I'm going to show you the calculation for the costing for all the 22 ounces cups or 700 milliliters. The main ingredient for this would be the flavor. And in that series, in that episode, I showed you how to make passion fruit refreshers. So passion fruit was our main flavor, and I use jam. Now, why do you use jam instead of, say, syrup or even puree? So I also have a puree here, puree, syrup, or jam. Number 1, in terms of cost, jams are cheaper. And also they look more natural in a way, except that the sweetness level is not exactly what it should be. Syrups would be cleaner and also sweeter, and you might be able to use less of the syrup than using jam. Next, it comes in large sizes. So a syrup would probably be about 740 ml, whereas my jam would be about 1 kilogram to about 3 kilograms if you're buying this from Taiwanese suppliers, Taiwanese bubble tea suppliers. In Thailand, I'm using 1 kilogram jams, and in fact, some of them are called topping, but they are used instead of syrup. So this looks more natural because you can see some bits there, and cheaper. That's the most important part. Okay, so let's consider the ones that I used in the previous video, which is the jam. The cost of the jam in Thailand is about 165 Thai baht per 1 kilogram. Translated to per gram, that is about 0.16 per gram. And for each of the drinks, we use about 30 grams or 30 mils. So the way to calculate it is that you take the cost, which is 165, divided by the weight of your jam, which is 1 kilogram or 1,000 milliliters, and you get about 0.16 per gram. So 30 grams would be about 5 Thai baht. Now, I'm using Thai baht because that is how I buy them in Thailand. If you are from other parts of the world, you can also use the same calculation to come up with the costs of your flavor. Okay, so if you're using syrup the same way, if it's 740 ml per bottle and the cost is, say, 165, then you also have to calculate it by the cost divided by the weight, and you get the per gram and multiply by the amount that you use per cup. The next ingredient that I indicated in that video is to use vanilla syrup. That is my secret ingredient. Now, vanilla syrup, if you make it homemade, it'll be quite cost effective. It's not as expensive as you buy them off the shelf like these ones. So you can make them homemade, and really all I wanted is to give that extra flavor in the drink. So instead of making it so boring and so copycat with other shops, you can make it different and add your vanilla syrup. But then again, if you don't have vanilla syrup and you want to cut your costs even further, you can use plain sugar syrup. And I also had another question in the video that I made previously, and the question was, can we use fructose instead of vanilla syrup? The answer to that is absolutely. It's okay to use fructose. It's also a lot cheaper than vanilla syrup. But then again, try both. Use vanilla syrup, fructose, and sugar syrup, and compare the taste, and then decide, would you rather sacrifice quality with cost, or would you like to make it even better and just spend a little bit more, maybe about 1 5% more. So that's my advice to you. But once again, I'm saying instead of vanilla syrup, you can use fructose, you can use sugar syrup, because if you are using jam, you definitely have to add some sweetness to it. But if you're using syrup, you might not need to have vanilla syrup or any other syrup to add to your drinks. Now, another way to cut your costs on the flavor if you're using syrup is to use less of the syrup and mix it with sugar syrup. That means if I say 30 ml of flavored syrup, you can make it 20 ml flavored syrup and 10 ml sugar syrup. That's also another way. Just make sure you taste each of these permutations and decide which way you would like to go and which ones you would like to serve in your milk tea or fruit tea shops. Another ones that are common to all these drinks will be the cup. So when you calculate your costs, say you are using a 22-ounce cup, then you calculate the cost of your cup. If you're buying this in large quantity, you can cut your costs. If you buy this in 100 pieces, for instance, then the cost of your cups might be a little bit more. For this costing, I'm going to use 3 Thai baht for the cost of my cup. You also have to factor in the cost of your straw and also the lid. Most of the shops these days are using hard cups, and they use the sealing film to seal the cups. Those ones would cost less than a lid like this one, okay? But I would calculate the cost of the straw and also the lid to be about 1 Thai baht. So that's my costing for this. It could be less, again, if you buy in large volume. And then I'm going to also factor in the cost of the ice, and I'm going to use about 2 Thai baht for the cost of my ice. Now let's look at the first drink. The first drink, I use water-based. Passion fruit jam, 30 ml, and the cost is about 5 baht. And then we added vanilla syrup, which is about 7.5 to about 10 ml, and the cost of that is 2 baht. Now the water, even though it's negligible, I'm going to add 1 Thai baht for that, okay? And the ice, I'll add 2 baht. For the cup, 3 baht. For the lid and the straw is 1 baht. The total is 14 Thai baht. 14 Thai baht for this beautiful drink. Popping boba is optional. You can charge extra for these. Another extra options would be the cream cheese on top. You can also add grass jelly. You can also add some fresh fruits garnish, but I'm not including that in the costing. So 14 Thai baht for our water-based summer passion fruit refresher. And how much should you sell? Let's find out the cost of all the others before we talk about how much the selling price should be. Let's look at the next drink. The next drink is lemonade based. My lemonade, I use fresh lime. I'm going to use the costing of 3 baht for the lemonade. It could be less depending on where you buy it. Calamansi, I don't think you should spend 3 baht is about I would say 5 pesos for about 3 or 4 pieces of calamansi mixed with water. So I'm giving this quite an exaggerated costing just to make sure that you understand that the cost is not that high. It could be less than what I'm selling you, okay? Summer passion fruit lemonade, the costing would be for the passion fruit jam, I'm going to use 5 baht. For the vanilla syrup is 2 baht. For the lemonade, I'm using 3 baht. For ice, I'm using 2 baht. For the cup, 3 baht, the same. Lid and straw, 1 baht. The total cost for our summer passion fruit lemonade refresher is 16 Thai baht. Not a lot, but it looks so delicious. Next, we are going to calculate the costing for our green tea base. The cost of the jam is 5 Thai baht. The cost of the optional vanilla is 3 Thai baht. The cost of the green tea, I'm using about 3 Thai baht. Again, that is a little bit on the high side. It could be less. The ice is 2 Thai baht. The cup, 3. The lid and the straw, 1. And the total for our summer passion fruit tea refresher is 16 Thai baht. Finally, let's take a look at the costing for our summer sparkling passion fruit refresher. For this one, we are going to use soda water. In some parts of the world, this can be quite expensive, especially in the Philippines. In Thailand, it's not so expensive and it is readily available. If you add the vanilla syrup or even a sugar syrup, it might even taste better. The reason why I didn't add is because some of the soda water can also be quite sweet. So that's an option for you. So in this case, because the soda water would cost a lot, I am not going to add the cost of the vanilla syrup. So let's take a look at the breakdown. The jam, 5. The soda water, in this case, 7 Thai baht. Then you have the ice, which is 2 Thai baht. The cup, 3 Thai baht. The lid and the straw, 1. And the total for this is 18 Thai baht. So the costs of all these 4 drinks are very, very similar. Now, how much should you sell these drinks? My suggestion for the retail price would be to multiply your cost by at least 3 times. And the reason for that is that it is not the only cost that you incur when you sell these drinks. You also have your overhead, your fixed costs, your utilities, and the rent is probably the highest. If you're not renting, you can't afford to make it cheaper because you don't have to pay the rent. And I really feel that rent is always the highest cost. But then sometimes when you rent, it is good because you rent in a place where there will be a lot of people that could go to your shop. Make sure that you factor all of these in. And I would think that multiplying it by 3 would make it cost effective. Okay, so multiplying the cost of our first drink, which is our summer passion fruit refresher water base, I'd say the price should be at least 42 Thai baht. For the lemonade refresher, I would say 48 Thai baht. For the green tea refresher, it will be 48. And for the sparkling summer refresher, it would be 54 Thai baht. Now, what do you think of these prices? I would say everywhere I go and I see these drinks, they cost over 100 Thai baht. Now, of course, that would include the popping boba. Popping boba would probably cost about 5 to 10 Thai bahts, and you have to charge that separately. If you add cream cheese, it adds the value, it adds the glamour to the drink, and you could even charge or sell it for a higher price. So that's all really that I would like to share with you today. So I wish you all the best in starting this fruity drinks business. And if you have any questions or anything you would like to share with the community, do let us know in the comment below. Click that subscribe button. Also check out my book, All Things Milk Tea, and you will find different recipes for fruit tea in that book. Take care, stay safe. Thank you for watching. Ciao for now.